Welcome to the Community Table, where we explore the secrets to success of the top real estate producers in our local market. A real conversation, hosted by Community Mortgage.
Hey y'all, I'm Sophie Raines with Community Mortgage, and we are on another episode of the Community Table podcast, and I am so excited. I'm here with Max Rubenstein, Maximum Service Group, Keller Williams, top producer among many other talents, but we have been working together really like since we got in the business, and so I thought it would be really interesting to kind of, talk about how you got started and how we got started and how we've kind of grown up and come up in this business together. I think it's been like 10 years, which is crazy. Yep. Too bad these aren't Cheetah Chairs.
I know.
If you know. We'll get there. But yeah, so just to kind of start it out, like I said, we kind of started in the business together kind of around the same time. And I just kind of want to hear from your perspective, like when you got in, what that looked like in your journey to kind of, getting into real estate.
Sure. I was thinking about it last night, actually, and I think it started, I don't remember if you messaged me or I messaged you on Facebook, probably.
I think I slid into your DMs, maybe.
And yeah, we were both new in the business and, had a lot of the same friends through high school and whatever years before. But, got in 2016 at 24 years old and was excited and enthusiastic and was ready to take over the business. Very arrogant, for sure, looking back. I came from kind of a sales background, and basically what led me to get into real estate is, of course, I was watching a bunch of like real estate shows, like $1 Million Listing, and I was like, if these guys can do it, I can do it. Look at the money they're making. Mm-hmm. And I also had moved back to Memphis and had just been looking at some statistics and saw that the average age of a realtor in Memphis was 57, and that may have been a national stat, but the average, or Memphis at the time was the number 3 city in the nation for millennials buying homes. And so to me, it seemed like kind of an obvious opportunity of, oh, wow, the average realtor's much older than the average buyer in this market. They're all my age, and all the realtors are like our parents' age. And so it seemed to me that those people would rather probably work with someone their age who understood their lifestyle and, desires and wants and needs and all these things. And so to me, it was just kind of like, oh, that's a no-brainer. I'll be an easy choice. And so got into the business. At the time was definitely among the youngest realtors in the business at 24. And like I said, I thought I knew a lot of things and thought I was.
You did.
Well, I knew a few things and was overconfident about everything else for sure. And so got in excited, and the excitement and enthusiasm was very beneficial in the beginning. Because the beginning is full of a lot of failure, and unless you're really enthusiastic, it's hard to get through those failures, letdowns, and lessons, and keep going and still be enthusiastic. So
there's definitely a fake it till you make it aspect, which
sure.
I always laugh because I feel like you were successful quickly. I feel like, you kind of jumped right in and you were I think that, that arrogance and that hungriness, not saying that you were arrogant, but it was a good arrogance.
Sure.
It worked,
Yeah.
And you were so confident. And so I kind of hitched my wagon to yours and just was like, I feel like I was successful because we partnered so early. And I think we both had a very similar mindset when we first got in, and I feel like there's a lot of things that I do now because of those early transactions with you,
Sure.
And I think there were times that we were kind of learning on the fly, and I was learning on the fly, but I was also I don't want to lose you as a partner. So I was trying so hard to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. And I feel like we had and have had a very long run together, because I feel like ever since even the very beginning, I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of everything for you. And so like, I really do chalk a lot of my success, to those early days. I mean, I can still even remember like some transactions and like some of the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And even like times where I'm like, maybe I did make like a tiny little mistake, but I kind of tried to just own up to it and be like, I'm learning. So
yeah, well, when I look back and all the deals that we've done, I don't remember any of the mistakes. I know that if there were, one of the things I value in this business, because people are people and we all make mistakes, is like, oh, I made this mistake and I'm going to fix it and whatever. Great. No problem. What I remember about the early years is mainly me calling you at super inconvenient times, like, oh yeah, I'm at a wedding, and you would go into the parking lot and like send me a pre-approval letter in a time where like you're living your private life, and the average lender would be like, call me tomorrow and I'll take care of it. And so to me, it was, the partnership was like, hey, we're both on the same page about, we're willing to do whatever it takes to make this deal happen. And that's a lot of why we were so successful, I think, and also why we worked so well together. Is like we were both there and hungry and ready to do what we needed to do to help a client and also advance our own career. So
yes, for sure. Well, and I kind of, you brought that up about the millennial thing, because like I kind of forgot about that was such a big thing, like when we were coming out of college, like millennials, I remember we also, weren't we going to do something like adulting is hard or something like that? We were going to put together like a group of people and be like, because like we were so shocked that like coming out of school, obviously we felt like we were the experts because we, were learning all of this stuff. But I'm like, the average young person coming out of school, like, didn't know how to file their taxes, didn't know, so it was like, we were like, we need to like get out there and explain like all of these adult things that like we were experiencing kind of in real time, even though like I feel like you kind of have to practice what we preach. So like, we both bought our first houses, which, you represented us, shout out. But like we were kind of trying to do the things too at the same time. It was like, while we were also, kind of, like I said, learning how to navigate actually working in the business while also sort of living it and becoming, like, I feel like we were, the go-to people for our friends, you know.
For sure. It was kind of like, come with us on this journey that we are all on together.
So when you got in and then you joined at Keller Williams and like I said, you kind of had fast success, like what would be some of the things that you implemented early on that, I know, like we talked about being hungry and all that kind of stuff, but like what were some of the things that you felt like you put in place early that you were able to be successful?
A lot of open houses, so getting in, at 24, most of my peers weren't ready to buy a house like you said. And so for me, it was more like meeting all new people. I got to go find clients. And so on my 4th day licensed, I worked an open house. 3 people showed up. One of them hired me to list their house and help them buy a home. And I was like, well, that worked. And so let me just keep doing open houses. And so, and I did not know what I was doing. I mean, for the first probably year, I was like, how are these people trusting me with this amount of money? This is insane. And it wasn't a lot of money in hindsight, in the, perspective of how expensive real estate can be. But at the time, I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. So that worked. 4th day, that was probably just a right place, right time. There was no magic words that I said. And it was like, oh, I got a listing. That was easy.
Wow.
Let's keep doing that. So that was a lot of it was like, okay, I got that listing, and then I held open houses on that listing, and I think I got like 2 or 3 buyers from that. I also door knocked like the whole street because that's what someone said worked, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. And so in the first year was just like doing all the dirty work that no one wants to do, making phone calls and those types of things. Social media was like a little bit a part of that, but like it hadn't obviously wasn't what it is today. And even probably by 2018, 2019, it was very different than it was in 2016. So yeah, it was just a lot of meeting people. Total strangers who walked through the door of a house I was occupying for a couple hours that Sunday and converting them. And I just, in the first couple years, on average, I think I was getting, if I got a listing, I was on average getting 2 or 3 buyers from that listing. And so it was a lot of buyers, not a lot of listings, but each listing I definitely turned into other opportunities. So that was in the first couple years. I also got really lucky and found another agent who had been in the business for 15 years, and she had leads that she was buying, and her agents who were handling those leads weren't really making the phone calls. And so I told her, hey, give me a shot, give me the leads, give me a week, let's see what we can do. And in a week I had like 2 or 3 of those under contract, and she was like, oh my gosh, these aren't bad leads, it's just that someone's got to call them. And so that was really lucky too, where I just met someone who gave me an opportunity, and that led to a lot of success from there with those leads, and then other stuff from there. So
yeah, I feel like that is big. Like sometimes if you are young and getting started out, like I think like you did mostly start totally by yourself, but like if there are young agents now getting in, like sometimes they ask me for advice and I don't know why, but I'm like, if it were me, I feel like it would be easier to either join some sort of team or link up with another agent that is more successful, because it seems like a lot of agents over time start to trend more towards listings, and then they do want to have somebody to kind of help them with the buyers, know, and so then that ends up being something that like you can kind of start to build your client base and everything. So what would you say about kind of on that subject of kind of getting started? Like I've talked about it before, I had joined the Young Professional Network like through MAR and all that kind of stuff, and I feel like we used to do a lot of that kind of stuff. But Keller Williams and any other brokerage really offers a lot of like training and stuff like that. We took Bold together, which was I feel like every brokerage kind of has a version of that where it's a week-long class of learning all these different skills and things like that. But do you feel like you kind of did some stuff like that sort of helped you as far as like getting involved in whether it was through MAR or through other classes that you could take?
Yeah, I think some of like the hard skill training of like scripts and what to say and things like that were beneficial. I did a lot of that independently. I'm kind of like an information addict, so I'm always consuming information all the time. And so in my free time, I would watch YouTube videos of agents who they would record themselves cold calling, and they had these amazing scripts, and I just was like so excited to even watch it. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that guy told him some words that can't be repeated on this podcast. And then by the end of the call, he was like, yeah, you can come over tomorrow at 1. And
wow,
how did he do that? That's amazing. So I did a lot of studying of like those types of things. Getting involved at MAR was incredibly beneficial in my opinion to me and my business and my clients. Early, probably first 5 years of my business, I was as involved as I could be on different committees and associations and different things, and building relationships with other professionals in our business is, in my opinion, invaluable. I remember when COVID came around and we entered this crazy atmosphere of multiple offers, and this house has 10 offers in the first 12 hours. And, just that, it was just a weird time where any competitive advantage that you could find could be the difference between your client getting that house or, hey, for the next 30 days, you're going to make offers on 6 more houses and not get it. I mean, the stakes were high at that time. And so because I had at that point had all this experience on these committees and building relationships with other agents who were good agents who list a lot of houses, there were many deals that my clients won over someone else based on information given to me by an agent, that may not have been given to another agent who wrote an offer on that property because of the relationship. And there wasn't any like unethical, there was no unethical aspect to it. It was just, I knew the right questions to ask. We knew each other and they were just open. And so I think those relationships are huge. Also, like, I can't tell you how many times I've called, like John Dickens is one of the agents I became friends with early through some of those committees and stuff. the number of times I've called him for advice on how to handle whether it's a challenging client or a challenging situation or a challenging listing. He's just been such an asset to me for advice and guidance and all these things. And I may not have that relationship had I not gotten involved. And there's a bunch of other agents like that too. So yeah, getting involved is big, and you just don't know what you don't know. So the more time you spend around people who know more than you, the faster you can kind of learn the things that took them years to learn. You may learn in a month or a moment even.
Yeah.
So.
I find it crazy that I don't know how it is in other markets, but like it is wild how much of a, like, obviously your competitors, but like your friends, they're willing to help and all that kind of stuff. So that's always like, you would wonder like, oh, well, why would you want to be in the area association of realtors and go into all these events where you're, with other agents and everything. Sure. But it's true. I mean, everybody I feel like is like willing to help. And the more you're in those situations, then it only helps you for your future transactions.
It also makes your deals go better. Like I tell every new agent, especially, like, this is a cooperative business. So when two agents are working together, the goal is to close the deal. We don't have to be on opposite sides, us versus them. One of us has to win, one of us has to lose. We can cooperate through this deal and work together to find a successful close where everybody involved is happy and everybody involved considers it a successful transaction. So I think having that cooperative attitude, it extends past a deal. It's just relationships with people. I just don't think the business would be enjoyable if you did it in this competitive way like that.
Right.
So.
Well, and kind of on that subject, so, Memphis being kind of a small town, there's a lot of people that are from here that, either moved away, came back, stayed here, never left, and so I think we did have a little bit of an advantage because we're both from here. And so you went to Christian Brothers, I went to St. George's, and like really leaning into your sphere of being an alumni. And I've noticed, not that you didn't do it early on, but like and I notice now having a child, and so do you, Cash being at Christian Brothers, my son's at St. George's, you get kind of into being more of an alumni, like at first I was like, I don't need to like really get back involved with my high school, but just wondering, cause I feel like I've heard before that like Christian Brothers of all schools like has a very strong alumni base. And so not only just with working with clients, but also kind of building some of your team as far as like closing attorneys or, people that you've known through that network. But I guess how has that helped you?
It's been, so I was thinking about this. I think about it a lot. So I would say the values that I learned at Christian Brothers going to school there, and really I just grew up there because my mom taught there for 20 years, but those values have helped me more than like necessarily the alumni network, at least at this point. Now, being involved, I'm on the alumni board at the school and try to spend as much time there as I can. It can be very beneficial. It's as beneficial as you get out of it what you put in. So I try to invest time and energy there, and honestly don't do as much as I'd love to do, but it's been really beneficial in, some referrals and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where whether it's like my closing attorney or a lender or whoever it is, an inspector, whatever, or a client, if they're coming from Christian Brothers, you just have this immediate understanding of at least there's some part of each of us that is on the same page and has this connection and understanding, because it is, not to make this an ad for the school, but it is more than a school. It's when you go there and take advantage of the opportunities at the school, there is a value set that you walk away from the school with for the rest of your life. And so I know, like, I recently did a deal, helped a teacher buy a house there, and immediately I'm like, oh, we have this common ground that we see things the same way about certain things. And so, yeah, I would say it's been beneficial, and it will only continue to be more beneficial moving forward in my career as I do some different things that I want to do.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Yeah, I think it'll always be there, and maybe even get stronger. Like I said, as our kids being, at our respective high schools, But and I do think kind of when we first got started too, not so much like on the school train, but just being from Memphis, going back to kind of when we both got started and like our passion and everything. Like I feel like we both kind of rallied around Memphis because like you had gone and moved somewhere else. You were in California. Is that right? Yeah. And then I came from Ole Miss, and I thought I was going to live somewhere else. I wanted to live somewhere else. I was not like totally invested in the idea of Memphis at first, and then of course got the opportunity to work for Community Mortgage, which my dad founded, and like that kind of just fell into my lap. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, like I'm gonna be an advocate for the city that I'm from, and start to look at it in a different lens, and so I feel like you've stayed, like we've both kind of stayed that way though, like where it's like you have sold a lot of different areas of the city and everything, and been like a pretty good advocate for Memphis. Do you have kind of like a favorite area that you like to sell? I mean, you're kind of all over the place, I know, but
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say a favorite place to sell. I have had a lot of experience in different parts of town for different reasons and different clientele profiles. I've worked probably with 30 to 40 families over the years moving from out of state. And so I've got a lot of experience educating people on the city and, hey, what's your lifestyle like? Hey, public versus private schools, like all the different aspects of their life, and then helping them discover, which area of town will best adapt to what their needs are. And so, I've had a lot of experiences there, I have different favorite things for different reasons. If someone wants a historic home, I'm taking them to Midtown to look at all that has to offer. It just depends. If they want new construction and under a certain profile of home, then like I may take them to Collierville or Germantown or East Memphis, depending on what it is and their budget and all of that stuff. So totally depends on the client. But yeah.
Well, speaking of kind of, again, going back to like us sort of getting our start and everything, I have to talk about Cheetah Chair Chats.
Okay. I knew this would come up.
I wish I had brought it up sooner because I've just been dying to kind of get back into this. But I think it's so interesting. And one thing, like I said, I really wanted to bring up, especially being in this situation, because we're like sitting here in this very professional, polished,
way more polished than
podcast.
What we were doing.
And when we were first getting started, we had this, grand idea to do, I think it was weekly. We at least
That's
kept
what
it
we
up.
started at.
Yes, we kept it up at weekly at one point. But speaking of my dad, who, his office is at Community Mortgage, he had these red cheetah chairs in his office. And I think...
Remember how hard I fought you on the name?
I think so, yes. So we decided, we were going to do these weekly videos. They were going to be obviously real estate related. And, but we're like, okay, we can sit in these chairs. And I decided, well, let's call it Cheetah Chair Chats, kind of like, fireside chats or something like that, where I thought that like, even though the name had like zero to do with what we were talking about, people would kind of remember it. But I'm pretty sure you had like a tripod and
couple
like
microphones.
We kind of, had a few little things. I mean, when do you circa like what, 2018 maybe?
18, 19.
Yeah. Which seems so like
forever ago.
Yeah, long ago now. But I think we were like going live.
Yeah, it was live and unedited. Very bold, confident move. Yeah.
Yes, and we would like go live, and it kind of like took a life form of its own where, then we, like one of the days I think we went to the zoo.
In front of the cheetah exhibit.
Yes, and we filmed in front of the cheetahs. But it was like Cheetah Chair Chats, so like it made sense. And like the people that were watching it, like they got it, but it actually like had pretty good views.
Yeah, we would get like over 1,000 views per video, which at that time was pretty decent.
Yeah. So. And people recognized they'd be like, oh, Cheetah Chair Chats.
Yeah.
They would like recognize us from it.
Yep.
And I think we went and did something at the Vesta.
Yeah,
at
we did.
one point too.
It was at the opening of Belfair when John Duke opened Belfair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was just, like I said, I look back on that all the time, and we even joke sometimes like we need to bring it back, because that was like a perfect example of like, we don't know what we're doing. Like, and it's funny now that like a lot of stuff turns to just do it, like the being on social media now, like it kind of, whatever works. Like, and, I think we started that, and then I think people got more polished, and then now people also still like that kind of stuff, so I'd be very curious to know, like, if we were to bring it back, would you say edit, like we gotta,
I edit in the sense of like, let's pull clips from this, but like in terms of content quality, I would say like we were doing fine. I think perfection gets in the way of progress for, at least for me. And yeah, we were just kind of going for it. And honestly, had we continued, we'd probably be doing very well.
Yeah.
And we would have evolved and changed like anything. But yeah, if we brought it back, I would say let's just go for it and whatever. So.
Yeah. Well, I think at one point you even like bought like a cheetah shirt. I was wearing my cheetah shoes.
Yeah. Yep.
We had like Mem Pops on there one time. We were like eating our Mem Pops. We were like giving Mem Pops a shout out, we're like, we could have had some sponsors.
Ahead of our time. We were ahead of our time. Free shout outs.
Yes. Well, that was awesome. Well, stay tuned. Maybe we'll bring that back, because I think there's a lot of people, like I said, like people will still bring it up to me to this day.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Got to get with Max. See if he's on board.
I'm on board.
Well, so speaking of, just you had kind of touched on when we were talking about the different areas of town and new construction and all that. So you've really been able to like get into the new construction world.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that just a little bit, because it's different, than just existing home sales,
Sure.
which you do both, of course. But I feel like you've become, an expert in that new construction phase. And so how did that transition kind of come to be?
Sure. So, from 2016 to into 2018, I represented a handful of buyers on new home purchases. Usually those were just spec homes built by, in most cases, a production builder. So I had done one custom home. And so I had some clients who wanted to build. They moved into town from Houston, and we identified a builder who had a lot in an area that we were interested in. And it was a one-off build, and I was like, this process is great. And I was involved the entire time because I wanted to be. And I learned a lot and was just like very interested in that. It piqued an interest in me. And so in 2019, I said my only goal this year is I want to get a builder to hire me as their agent. And so in June, I think it was, of 2019, Klausner Sklar Homes hired me to represent them. I had been building a relationship with one of the owner builders for over a year. I mean, we would just talk on the phone, and he is super knowledgeable, has been doing it for 50 years, and so he knows a lot of things. And so I would just call him to ask questions about stuff, to just try to learn. And so they were in a transition period with their previous representation, and they called me to interview me, and I got hired, and really just fell in love with it. And at that point was not only like, man, this is great, I love being their agent, but I want to build houses too. And so that's been the next goal that came from that, is I'm working towards building my own homes and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, it's been a wild ride, and now I work for a couple different builders at varying degrees. You know, some of them it's once every 2 years, some of them it's several a year. So it kind of varies. And then I have a few others where we're trying to find opportunities, and haven't found one yet, but hope to have opportunities in the future. So.
Yeah. So how involved are you in the process? Like from when they actually have the lot and start building, like, do you get any say on like any of the, what you're picking out as far as the fixtures, or, like I'm curious to know kind of how that goes, like how, like, because if you're building for a client,
Sure.
so I guess that would really be the question is like, you could already have a client who like they're picking and they know what they want, or doing the spec home where it's like you have to kind of say like, okay, we've got to build something that hopefully people are going to like and buy it, without anyone actually doing it custom, so yeah, how does that process work?
So I would say there's 3 categories of homes. There's spec home, which is, as you said, you own a lot as the builder. You're building a house with it's a theoretical end user, right? There's some buyer out there at some point in the future who will buy this house, but we don't know them. We don't know what they like. There is semi-custom. So that could be a buyer approaches a builder and says, hey, I want to build this house. And the builder says, okay, well, here's the floor plan we're going to put on it. I'll let you modify X% of it. So maybe they say, hey, you've got the door of the office opening here. I would rather have it here. We could go on and on about, or it could just be like, I'm going to let you pick the paint color, countertops, tile, whatever, finish material. And then there's full custom, which is either the client owns the lot. Sometimes the builder will own it. Maybe they buy a house, tear it down, and are going to build a new one there. But the client, they could meet with an architect and do like full ground up, huge set of plans. And that's a very long process because there's multiple revisions in the plans and all these different aspects to it. Or they may find a plan where the builder says, hey, I've built this plan in the past. I think it would look really good on this lot. And then the buyer may meet with the architect and make modifications to that plan, but at least they have like a framework of where they're starting and it's not from scratch. And that each of those businesses is very different. And builders have preferences on which ones they want to do or not want to do based on a bunch of different factors. So what I have experienced doing, I've done, I did that one custom years ago as a buyer's representative. I've not done customs as a listing agent representing the builder, although that is a hope that I have. What we do is spec. So we own a bunch of lots in various subdivisions, or we have bought and torn down homes. We just recently sold one in East Memphis. That was, I would consider it a very successful project. And my involvement has been as involved as they will allow me to be. So from day one, I was like, I want to be involved in everything. Let me pick the finishes. Let me do this. Let me do that. At that time, they had a designer they were working with. And so I was really just their agent. As the market and consumer sentiment and preference changed, it became clear to them that they also needed to change and build things that people wanted to buy. And so I became more and more involved over time. And so today, for example, what I do is, if they own a lot already, then I'm not involved in them helping them pick lots. If they're considering buying a house to tear it down, then I am involved in that process, and not necessarily representing them to purchase the tear down, but consulting them on, is this a good location? What can we sell a house for? How big of a house do we need to build? Those types of things. And then once we're building the house, or once we're going to build a house, I do meet with the builder and whoever's responsible for the plans, and we make revisions to plans, and I help them pick floor plans based on what I know consumers want. So that involves room layouts, room sizes. Hey, we really need, like, a scullery, for example, is a feature in a home that is, at least in our price point, kind of expected now. And so those are the types of opinions I'm bringing to the table and they could tell you, like, when I have an opinion, I hold it pretty strongly and I fight pretty hard with them over things I feel strongly about. And so, yeah, we'll do that floor plan, and then I'm involved throughout the design process. So I do have a design partner that I brought into our partnership with our builders.
Oh, cool.
And so shout out Jennifer Landrum. She is amazing. She's done my staging for years in my real estate business. But I brought her into the build business too. I had to twist her arm to do that. And now she's like, I love it. It's so awesome. And so we worked together with the builders to pick everything. Actually, right before I came in, I was in the parking lot reviewing lighting plans for a house we're building in Germantown. So yeah, I'm involved in every step of that project at this point, which is what I love. And so, it's been great.
Yeah.
I tell them they're getting a project manager that they don't have to pay. So it's great.
Yeah. I would love that. I feel like I'd love to be able to like see all the different
It's a lot of fun.
things. I mean, it'd be hard to have to pick. Cause like, I think my problem would be, I would think like, oh, you know, I love this, but then it's like, how do you pick something that could be loved by anybody?
Sure.
You know, like it'd be hard to not have your own taste like coming through. Like
It is, and it's also a balance between the hardest thing we've found a balance in is there was a time when I worked with these builders where building the least offensive, most what I would call vanilla home was a business model that worked. Through COVID, like that worked. But in the market we're in today, what I have experienced and seen is that buyers want homes that have personality. They want homes that have character to them and attitude. And so where on that spectrum do you fall it's hard math to do. And especially in the spec business, the thing you have to protect more than anything is your profit margin. Otherwise you will go out of business. And it is a business where one really bad project can leave you without, needing to find a new career, basically. And a lot of people have been through that. And so that's where the builders and I have a healthy back and forth relationship where, like, if it was up to me, they would make no money because I'd put like the greatest stuff in the house and it's the best light fixtures and the best, every little detail that I want to do is like so extreme. And so you also have to have a really strong relationship with the builder where like they keep me in check as much as I keep them in check because they're the ones writing the checks and it's easy to spend someone else's money. But yeah, it is this balance of how much character is enough and how much is too much, and is this detail, it's really cool, but like are people really gonna like it, kind of thing. So it's tough. It's hard to figure out.
Well, last question on that. Have you ever picked anything that like if it took a while to sell, or you like that was something that I chose and like they decided that it didn't work or something? Or
so we have something, there is a house right now that we have a contract on it. It has taken a long time to sell. And there is a feature in that home that they were going to do one thing, the plan called for something, and I, like, halfway through the process was like, this is not going to work. We can't, this is a terrible decision and we need to pivot. So we made a change based on my advice, and they did what I recommended they do. But because we were in the middle of the build, we rushed the execution of that idea. And so the idea, I would say, is very good. Right. The execution was not very good. And so when you're in the home, you're kind of like, what's going on with it? It's just not quite right. If we had that to do over again, we would have taken our time and made sure that was done really well. And had it been done really well, it'd be like, wow, that is amazing. So
was it the bar?
Yeah.
I've been in that house. I actually think it's cool. I like it.
It's a good idea. Again, it's like 80% right, and it just is like something's not right about that.
Well, I feel like there'll be a special person who, like me, appreciates a good bar they'll look past it.
I hope so. We'll see.
Well, just to kind of like wrap up on all that, and I hope you do start building your own homes, because I think you would be incredible.
Thank you.
But cool the way you're doing it, kind of, getting your feet wet first and, learning all the other aspects. But when you look back at kind of getting started and everything, just because we started talking about how we got into the business and 10 years now, a decade, like what would you be kind of like most proud of sort of where you're at now?
Probably the relationships. I was just having this conversation yesterday. The deals and commissions, all of that stuff's great. But the number of people that I consider family, and at least my feeling is that they feel the same way, who were strangers. And then I sold them a house, and then I sold them another house and took care of their parents or their kids or, whatever, the extended family. And this has just evolved into this interwoven relationship, I think is amazing. I mean, I've got clients who, like, we met and they were pregnant and now they've got multiple kids and their kids are growing up and, oh my God, she's getting her learner's permit and, just all these different things where we've just watched it. And now I have a kid and they've watched that whole thing evolve. And so you just kind of start going through life with these people. And I would not change anything about that. I could quit this business tomorrow and still have all those relationships. So to me, that's what I'm most proud of, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed this so much. And like I said, maybe, the Cheetah Chair Chats will make a comeback, or maybe we leave it in the past. I don't know, but we'll
do a revival tour.
Yes. We should have gotten like a little clip. Maybe they can put a little clip of it on the end of this so y'all can see it.
It won't meet their professional standards.
Yes. Well, tell everybody really quick how to get in touch with you.
Call me, email me.
What's your number?
Are we putting that on the internet? 901-826-8351. Best way, Instagram too. You can look me up. I don't even remember my handle. I think it's max.rube.901, rube.901. Yeah, if you just Google my name, you will find ways to contact me. So.
Yes, definitely. Okay, awesome. Well, this has been another great episode of Community Table, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you.